evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Sharon Bown, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Lieutenant Linda Waldron, great-granddaughter of this evening's Roll of Honour story. We welcome the extended family of Private Ernest Edward Morley, whose story will be told shortly. We are honoured to acknowledge His Excellency Mr. Chiak Niang, Ambassador of the Republic of Senegal, and the accompanying delegation. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During the ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by students on behalf of the following schools. From Queensland, Gympie South State School, St Peter and St Paul's School, Bulimba. From Western Australia, West Australian College of Agriculture. Please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Those that are able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where family and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Ernest Morley. Known to friends and family as Ted, Ernest Edward Morley was born on the 1st of April 1889 in Gormandale, Victoria, to Jessie and Sarah Morley. His father died when he was around 8 years old, and his mother remained in Gormandale and raised a large family. Ernest attended Gormandale State School and after leaving school worked as a labourer. Following the outbreak of the First World War, Ernest Morley began a relationship with Doris Thelma Stevens, and though not married, she took on the Morley name. Together they had 3 children, 2 boys and a girl, the youngest of whom was just a baby when Morley enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 22nd of April 1916. After initial training, Morley was allotted to reinforcements to the 21st Battalion. He embarked from Melbourne on the 2nd of October aboard the transport ship Nestor, bound for England. After spending the winter of 1916 and 1917 in training, Morley joined the 21st Battalion in France in February. March saw the battalion involved in operations pursuing the German army as they moved towards the prepared defences of the Hindenburg Line. April was mostly spent in training and on work parties, but by the end of the month, the battalion was in the front line in front of Riencourt. On the 3rd of May, the 21st Battalion took part in the Second Battle of Bullecourt. During the latter part of the day, Morley was severely wounded in his left thigh. He was evacuated to a casualty clearing station and from there was sent by ambulance train to the 9th General Hospital at Rouen. By the time he arrived at hospital on the 6th of May, his wounds had turned septic. Despite best efforts, his condition slowly deteriorated and he died at 12:50 p.m. on the 14th of May. He was laid to rest in St. Sever's Cemetery Extension. He was 29 years old. The war years were unkind to the Morley family. 5 siblings died of ill health in Australia. Private George Morley was killed in France in early August 1916 while fighting with the 26th Battalion, and Trooper Robert Herbert Morley was killed during the 4th Light Horse Regiment's attack on Beersheba on the 31st of October 1917. Ernest Morley's name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right among more than 60,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Ernest Edward Morley, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we who are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial, and we wish you all a very good evening.